Hello everybody, it's me, Dr. Ryan here, and in this video I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to stand out as a medical student on your rotations in third year. So obviously a lot of medical students want to stand out on rotations, they want to show their attendings, that they know their stuff, they want to get a good evaluation, but how do you do that when you're with a busy attending who has a lot of demands on their time? Well, let me give you a couple of simple things that you can do which I know for sure from experience will help you to stand out on rounds. So the first one is to absolutely 100% know your patients. Don't model yourself after interns or residents who may quickly talk to patients and then rush on to another task. As a medical student, they're going to give you fewer patients and you're going to have more time to spend with each patient. And you need to use that time to become the master of everything about that particular patient. So you want to know not only why are they in the hospital, you want to know all their medical history. You want to know where they've gotten all their care. You want to know the results of all the tests they've had during this hospitalization or for this clinic visit, plus in the past. You want to basically make yourself a repository of information for the team so that when the resident, the intern, the attending says, oh, what were that patient's allergies? You know the answer. When they say, where does that patient go for their cardiology care? You know the answer. You want to have all that stuff right there at the ready. And in order to do that, you need to spend more time with the patient. So the intern or resident may spend 10 or 15 minutes. You can spend an hour. During that time, you collect everything there is to know about that patient and you get to bond with them and know them really well. That can also help you stand out on rounds because the patients appreciate the time you spend with them and they may say something about how great that is to your attending. Okay, so that's the first thing, is to know your patients. The second thing is to synthesize information the way your attending would. So one time when I was a medical student on a surgery rotation, I presented a perfect depiction of a patient who had internal bleeding. I described their symptoms, I described their lab findings, but I never put it together that all these things mean the patient is bleeding. In other words, in my mind, I thought my job was simply to info dump, to report all the information. But the resident looked at me and said, well, what does that mean, Jason? What do you think it means, all those findings you just reported? And when he said that, it sort of clicked in my brain, oh my gosh, this patient is bleeding from their internal anastomosis site. And that was like a light bulb moment. And so that's what you want to try to do as much as possible. Don't just hoard information and dump it on your attending or your resident. Try to think about what it means, okay? Try to think about what all the data you've collected means for the patient. Are they ready to go home? Do they need to stay in the hospital another day? If you're seeing a clinic patient, do they need a change to their meds? Do they need test orders? Try to put yourself in the attending shoes and say, if there was no one else around, what would I do for this patient? Because that ability to synthesize the information is something that you really learn how to do at a much higher level than the med student level. So if you can already show signs of being able to do that as a med student, you're going to stand out immediately. And then the third and final tip I have for you to how to stand out is to nail your presentations. When you're presenting a patient, you want to be confident. You want to stand up straight. You want to speak clearly. You don't want to say and look down at your feet. These may sound like silly things, but they give the impression to the attending that you're not confident in the information you're conveying, that you're not sure of yourself. And this is a bad thing. So even if you're not 100% sure what's going on with the patient, you're not 100% sure what the next step should be, that's okay. When you present, have confidence. Look people directly in the eye, speak clearly, and be sure of yourself. This will go miles to helping you get a better evaluation, the fact that you can show that you're confident in yourself. And that concludes my TikTok video on how to stand out on rotations.